Welcome to the City of Pinellas Parks City Council meeting. Our city offers superior parks, premium recreational services, exceptional public safety resources, optimal investment opportunities, and more. Our mayor and city council welcomes you to tonight's meeting.
Good evening. It is Thursday, April 13th. It is 6 p.m. We're calling to order our city council meeting. We will have an invocation and a pledge of allegiance. Our invocation this evening is going to be led by Pastor Stansel of Community Bible Baptist Church, located at 6565 78th Avenue. Please rise if you wish.
Let's pray together, shall we? Father, we love you. We thank you for your goodness to us. And beautiful day here in Pinellas Park. We thank you for leadership. Lord, we live in a very confusing time. A lot of things happening around us we don't understand. And we need men and women who lead with clarity and with a sense of steadfastness. Lord, I pray that every decision will be pleasing to you, be good for our city, good for our people. And Lord, watch over and protect those that serve us and lead us. May we follow, Lord, as they lead correctly and they lead strongly in these troubled times. Bless each and every one. Thank you for those that have gathered here tonight. May their causes be heard and answers be given. We pray now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, thank you very much.
Yeah, they're doing good. Aren't they tonight? Oh, they won this afternoon? That's 13? That's 13. Huh?
13 in a row.
They've been winning the game big, too. They ain't been winning by one or two scores.
Turn it on.
That's it. If they go 14, they're breaking records, ain't they?
We have some wonderful people here with us this evening. Whereas volunteers reflect the highest value of our society and reap the rewards that come from giving aid to others while broadening one's horizons. Whereas our volunteers show that it is possible to bring people together in response to our community's critical needs. Whereas it is the duty of every citizen and leader to honor our volunteers and celebrate their contributions to the quality of life here in Pinellas Park. Now, therefore, I, Sandra Lee Bradbury, Mayor of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim April 16th to the 22nd as National Volunteer Week, and urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the importance of the role of our volunteers that play in our community as we celebrate these special days. In witness, I set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida, to be fixed on the 13th day of April of 2023. And I'm giving this to you as well as the mic.
Oh, wow. Roxanne, could you?
Yes.
So, Madam Mayor, as you know, we have quite a volunteer program. And through that program, right, we have both adults and we have young adults. And what they do is they volunteer of their time, right? They give us that gift of their time. And it's free time, but it's time. And with that, there's a certain calculation of hours and time spent within our community. And it's interesting that they give of themselves for not only our police mission, but they also give of themselves for this community. And you will see them at a variety of different events throughout the year. It could either be our Country in the Park and Chili Blaze that we recently did. It could be our Holiday in the Park. It could be our parade. Sometimes you'll see our folks in yellow being in the road patrol. You might see our young cadets in the back, and they may be doing ride-alongs. They'll assist us in our training as role players, and they'll do all of those things. We even have our folks that are assisting our mounted unit that come out every time our mounted unit deploys, particularly in the public they come with. And so the idea that we honestly couldn't do what we do without you, right? Because you're a very integral part of what we do here at the police department. Roxanne's going to provide the city with a check of nearly $100,000. And what that represents is $30 an hour to the tune of about 3,000 hours that you have provided to the mission of the police department and also to this community. And for that, we are incredibly grateful. Madam Mayor, on behalf of the police department, we present you with this check for $99,851, and it represents 33,333 hours of work.
Yes, we need all of the people who contribute to this. Please come forward.
Please, come on. Come on down, guys. Absolutely, come on. Yeah, absolutely. Buddy, you can't be the creepy guy in the back. Come on.
Here that are part of our future.
I'm the creepy guy in the back. Come on. And Madam Mayor, one more thing, right? We have this program because we have committed members of our agency that are not only committed to the police mission, but also committed to volunteerism as well. Corporal Kobeka is not with us, but he is an integral part of this. Lieutenant Pohl is, and every member of our agency that you see here are totally committed to the program and give of their time and their efforts to make us a better place.
And I saw quite a few of them at the last event over in Mainlands.
You did, right? Yeah, absolutely. And again, they give of their time and to make us all better, not only our police mission but our city. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Little checks, like it.
Yep. Thank you guys so much. Okay. Yes, for the George. Yes. Officer Skinner.
Fantastic, thanks very much. May I put this on the projector? Thank you. Good afternoon, I'm Officer Skinner. I'm with the Community Policing Unit of our fine police department. For the last few years, I have been the representative for our agency, representing the Law Enforcement Torch Run for Special Olympics Florida. Every year, we raise money for the Special Olympic athletes to give them year-round training and competitive sports that a lot of these children and adults otherwise would not have a chance to do. And it really it expands their horizons, makes them better people, and it allows them to enjoy what we normally would get to enjoy. So I'm here today trying to sell some shirts to raise money for them. I have multiple shirts, styles, and other items available. We have a cotton t-shirt, valued at $20. Tech shirts, which is a dry fit material. Tank tops as well, those are $25. Polos on for special order for $30. Hats for $10, and challenge coins for $15. If you would like to make a purchase, please let me know. I'm going to stick around till the end of the meeting today. Please come see me, and I'll get you set.
messed everything up. You want this? All right, while we're doing these special presentations, we got a couple of extra special ones here. Council Member Sabille, could you come up, please? You got no choice. You're on the spot, buddy. Hold on, I messed up. I could do this without reading. Actually, Councilmember Sabille spent 40 years of his career working for the city of Pinellas Park. She made me nervous. Before he became Councilman Sabille. And he has been Councilman Sabille now for 5 years. So for 5 years of service, we present this certificate of award to Keith Sabille in appreciation and recognition for 5 years of continuous and loyal service. Thank you, buddy. Hold on, I got some good stuff. This is for your wife to pick a nice gift.
Absolutely, she always has.
And you have a bunch of these. It's actually 45 years of service, buddy. Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
Thank you. There you go. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Can you bend down a little bit and I'll stand up behind you?
Running away.
Councilman Mullins, come on down. There's a reason we didn't broadcast this. So prior to Jerry's election, Jerry was named Pinellas Park Citizen of the Year in 2005. I could probably take a vote, and there many people, some of them weren't even born in 2005. And he was also given a key to the city and recognized as the Pinellas Park ambassador for his involvement in the community. I can tell you he's also spent numerous time in Little Leagues, tons of time at T-Birds, been a huge advocate of kids in this area, especially in sports. A lot of things that just have been unheard of and really haven't been spoken about. Jerry was elected to council in 2008, and we thank you tonight for 15 years of continuous service.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. And a gift for your wife,
Okay.
and a nice plaque to go with the other 100 of them you have. We present this certificate of award to Jerry A. Mullins in appreciation and recognition for 15 years of continuous and loyal service as of March 2023. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. It's been
Awesome.
an honor and a privilege.
I gotta take a picture going here. I should ask you guys if you want to do a speech. Keith, you want to do a speech? That's the reason I gotta do this. And last but certainly not least, Carol didn't make it back, huh? Come on, Councilman Rick. We'll get him. You know Rick. You know how he is. Come on up, Rick. So Rick started with council in 1800. Prior to serving with City Council, Rick was on the Pinellas Park Community Development Citizen Advisory Committee. We don't even have that anymore. The Board of Adjustments. He was elected to City Council, and we're going to go back here. Seriously, this is a real number. 1989. My gosh, Rick. Making him the most senior member of City Council with 25 years of service. Now, I did hear, and I'm not sure, but you guys probably know this, I believe his 25 years is the longest running elected official in Pinellas County right now. Does that make sense to you? I just recently heard this. Because if you think about George Creticus left, so I think he's probably the longest, which is a big deal. It's a really big deal. So 25 years of loyal service from Mr. Butler here. And so we present this plaque to you, Mr. Butler. I can't call you Richard, although I called you Grumpy already. An appreciation and recognition for 25 years of continuous and loyal service as of this date, March 2023. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
You got a pen? I got Jerry's pen up here too. Let me make sure which pen it is. Yeah, I can't read that. 25. Let's do a picture. I wish when Carol gets back, we gotta do this. Yes, sir.
Jerry and I gave our speech time
To Rick. Okay. Do the picture and then we'll do a speech. Thank you. Thank all of you. I was actually had a conversation with a resident today. Rick, I'm sorry, Jerry. This is a thankless job. I mean, if you've ever had to stand behind this and stand behind what you feel is right and represent 55,000 plus citizens, this is a tough thing to do. So for what they do, I congratulate them as a citizen, as a resident, as an employee. So it's pretty important to us. And I'm done. Thank you.
I do want to say one little thing. Bart's a pleasure to work with, and all our city employees are great. I work with 3 city managers, and we've had 3 of the very best. I go on to conventions and stuff with other city councilmen, and the way they talk, their city is run like a nightmare. And it's just been a pleasure, and I think that's the reason we stuck around so long, because it's nice working with this city.
About the chili blaze.
Hello, everybody. Mike Fortenberry, Pinellas Park Fire Department. No, come on. You gotta come up here.
No, you know the rules, buddy. Come on.
We just wanted to let everybody know like how thankful we are to help put on the event. I mean, without the city and Public Works, I mean, those guys are out there helping, setting up the whole time. So we appreciate you guys allowing us to have our event. And Country in the Park is also a great event the next day that the city puts on. We were able to raise, I believe, let's see here. I don't know if I want to get the numbers correct. We were able to raise over $14,000 on Chili Blaze. We're going to donate that to the MDA.
That's awesome.
And on Country in the Park, we were able to raise $17,000. That's going to allow us to give the Boys and Girls Club a good sizable donation. And then whatever's left over will kind of go into our benevolent fund.
Awesome.
So I know it's been a month or so since the event passed. We had a great time, and we just wanted to let you guys know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the support.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Noah.
That is absolutely wonderful. So, at this time, we allow any citizen that is not going to be speaking on an item that's on the agenda, but just to speak in general, ask city council or staff questions. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to come up and speak. Seeing none, we will move on. We do have item R1 is quasi-judicial, and I think we have a few other items that are quasi-judicial. So if you're going to speak on the items this evening, please stand and be sworn in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to section 2, approval of minutes. Councilmember Butler.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion we approve the regular council minutes of March 23rd, 2023 is on file in the city clerk's office.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion by city council on the minutes? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to section 3, our public hearings, item P1.
Item P1 is authorization for the mayor to sign an annexation agreement with OSI 10280 USHW LLC for property located at 10288 US Highway 19 North.
Thank you. Item P1 is a public hearing and first and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Derek.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Derek Reeves. I'm the Long Range Planning Manager for the city, and I will actually be presenting items P1, P2, P3, and P4 all together as they are all associated with the same property, but they will be taken separately for votes. So tonight we have a 4 separate requests, all involving the property at 10288 US Highway 19. P1 is an approval of an annexation agreement. P2 is an approval of an ordinance actually annexing 2 properties associated with that address, as well as some adjacent right-of-way. P3 is the approval of an ordinance amending future land use map designating the 2 parcels as industrial limited. This will allow us to not only regulate the property going forward, but also allow us to take action under P4, which is approval of a preliminary site plan for the expansion of outdoor storage along the western side of the 2 subject properties. So the subject properties are located on the northwest quadrant of 102nd Avenue and US 19. It's 2 properties, total of about 23.5 acres. Because they are currently in the county, they have an employment designation in the county. P3 is proposing to designate these 2 properties as industrial limited under the city's future land use designation. Within the county currently, the properties are designated E1. That is their equivalent to RM1, a light industrial zoning designation that would be assigned as part of the annexation ordinance under P2. The central part of the properties are in the X flood zone. It's primarily where the existing development is, with some of the periphery being in the AE and X shaded flood zones. You may have noted in the aerial there is existing stormwater channels along the west side and the south sides of the property. So I'll go into detail on P1, the annexation agreement. So this agreement does propose 6 special provisions associated with this annexation. And I've kind of summarized them here. That's number 1, all existing legal uses would be grandfathered in. Number 2 would be all existing site improvements are accepted as is. So that's existing pavement, buildings, dumpster enclosures, every improvement on site would be accepted as is. Number 3 is an approval of an 8-foot tall PVC fence in lieu of a masonry wall adjacent to the residential. That would be on the west and north sides of the properties. Number 4 is approval of an 8-foot tall PVC fence in lieu of a masonry wall along the right-of-way of 102nd Avenue. Those are requirements associated with that preliminary site plan. Outdoor storage requires 8-foot wall, masonry wall, adjacent to residential. They're requesting the PVC fences in lieu of that wall. Number 5 is a waiver of the required sidewalk along 102nd Avenue right-of-way. Again, that stormwater ditch along the south side along 102nd Avenue does kind of make it difficult to even construct a sidewalk in that area, and it's also industrial, so the need for pedestrian access is a little limited compared to maybe a residential area per se. And number 6 is a waiver of city land development and permit fees for a period of 5 years, not to exceed $5,000. So those are the special provisions identified in the annexation agreement, which is P1 in the agenda tonight. P2 is the actual annexation ordinance that would bring these 2 properties into the city. The actual annexation area is 25.87 acres. That's the 2 properties, as well as some right-of-way along US 19 and a small sliver along 102nd Avenue. P4 is the preliminary site plan that I discussed previously. So I wanted to re-show the aerial here just for your frame of reference. So preliminary site plans are required for our light industrial properties whenever they are adjacent or functionally adjacent to residential. In this case, you have multifamily residential on the north side, as well as some mixed multi and single family on the west side and single family across 102nd to the south side. So this property is actually wrapped on 3 sides by residential, requiring the preliminary site plan approval by the city council. So what is being proposed here is the existing development would essentially remain as is. The shaded area shows their new outdoor storage areas. They do currently have storage on the north side of the property, but the surface will be improved and then expanded along the west side of the property. As part of this, they're proposing to construct that 8-foot high solid PVC fence that I referenced before along the north and west sides and along the right-of-way on the south side. There is a 22-foot drainage easement that contains a drainage canal along the west side of the property that is contained on their property. And then they would also provide 8-foot landscape buffers on the west side and a 10-foot landscape buffer on the north side and that south side. That would be contained inside the fence. That would include trees and shrubs in that area. So the preliminary site plan section does have a list of requirements. So I've summarized those here and also summarized their compliance or non-compliance with those requirements. So the 25-foot setback from residential for mechanical equipment, that's your AC compressors or anything that makes noise like that. There are no new equipment proposed as part of this project. And I will note the closest existing building to any property line is 226 feet, and that's on the north side, the northernmost building to the northern property line. The other buildings on the west side are 296 feet from the residential property line to the west. Number 2 is only egress doors facing residential. There are no new doors proposed because there are no new structures proposed. There's no proposed modifications to the existing structures. Number 3 is loading areas screened from residential by wing walls or recessed into buildings. Again, no changes proposed to the buildings and no new buildings proposed. So no issues there. Number 4 is a 10-foot setback for the outdoor storage from residential with an 8-foot high wall. So the setback does comply. They're providing those landscape buffers, and you also have that additional stormwater drainage easement on the west side that increases that buffer beyond the 10 feet. However, as we mentioned already, they are proposing an 8-foot tall solid fence over a masonry wall, and that is one of those provisions that is in the annexation agreement in P1 if you were to approve that. Number 5 is a 10-foot landscape buffer along the right-of-way. They comply with that. Number 6 is a 5-foot setback for dumpsters and a 6-foot tall enclosure. And again, there are no new dumpsters proposed as part of this site. You may notice a few of these had asterisks associated with them, and I just wanted to remind everybody that the agreement accepts the existing development as is, and the agreement does also include a series of pictures to document the existing condition of the properties. So if there are any changes or code compliance issues, we have a reference point moving forward. So that is P4, the preliminary site plan. The staff findings here apply to all 4 items on the agenda. The property has no outstanding code enforcement violations with Pinellas County. The property is contiguous to the city and meets all annexation requirements as set forth in Florida statutes. The preliminary site plan, in conjunction with the special provisions of the annexation agreement, is consistent with the requirements of the Land Development Code. The IL future land use designation has been determined to be the most appropriate for this property, and the request is consistent with the Land Development Code and the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of all 4 cases under P1, P2, P3, and P4. Staff does recommend one condition on P4, that preliminary site plan, and that is that the subject properties are replatted prior to final site plan approval. The reason we are recommending this is normally outdoor storage would require additional screening between M1 properties, and there are 2 properties that are a part of this project. So by the letter of our code, they would be required to have an internal fence from their outdoor storage area to the rest of their internal site. By replatting it, they would not have to have that internal fence, and it wouldn't be part of the discussion. So to avoid that issue, and I believe the applicant has agreed to replat the property again prior to that final site plan approval. So we'd ask to make that part of the conditions. And this way it can be addressed without actually including it in the annexation agreement as well. The Planning and Zoning Commission did review item P2. That's the, that should be P3, my apologies. The land use case, the LUPA-1123-0004, and they did recommend approval on that with the condition that the annexation be approved first, which would be required in order for us to establish land use. The Planning and Zoning Commission does not make recommendations on P1, P2, and P4. That's the annexation agreement, the annexation ordinance, and preliminary site plans. So that completes my presentation for the 4 items, P1, P2, P3, and P4.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Derek from City Council? Councilmember Mullins.
Just to make it straight, and that was a very nice presentation. But I think what you really are saying is the land's going to stay just like it is, but they're going to use outside storage, but they're going to put up a 8-foot fence and a 10-foot vegetation buffer around everything.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But everything else is going to stay just like it's been for many years.
Yeah, the new outdoor storage will be on the west side, where currently it's just land, kind of vacant land.
But it will be blocked from view by.
But it will be blocked with a
vegetation
new
and a fence.
8-foot fence. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Reed?
When you said they're going to improve the ground, or are they going to concrete all that in for the outside door storage?
So their proposal is gravel. They do not have permit approval yet, so Public Works would have to review and make sure there's no issues with track out onto right-of-ways and that kind of thing, but they are proposing gravel for a majority of that storage area.
On the west side?
West side and the north side.
West side and north side. And is that a retention pond on the south side? What is that, where the dark green is?
Yes, that is an existing retention pond.
And that's going to stay there?
Yes.
And then is there a road that goes through there that cuts through to US 19 from 102nd?
So there's a ring road that pretty much follows.
That yellow line right there?
Yeah, the jagged yellow line that goes through here. And there's another entrance on the east side as well. And then there is an entrance out, or access to US 19 on the south side of this little arm there.
Thank you.
And there are no proposed changes to any of that.
I have a question for you. The triangle piece that is outside of the yellow area that is colored in orange, do the owners of the property own that as well?
This area right here?
Yes, sir.
That is under separate ownership.
Separate ownership, okay. Yes. Okay. And I'm on. The gravel type of material that's on the north side, they just would like to continue that along the west side as well.
Yeah, I think the
already
existing
on the property.
north side is kind of a mix of gravel and dirt right now, so they would improve that and then carry that around to the west side.
Okay. And they're doing that to keep it from being impervious as best as they can.
Yeah, it's to keep it from being impervious, but also to meet city code, which we require a stabilized surface, so you're not having mud or dust being stirred up on the grounds.
Thank you. And it looks like Pinellas County let them put all their landscaping in the back instead of having it throughout their property.
Yeah, I think this project was originally approved by the county in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Thank you.
I have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
Can they eventually make it concrete?
Up to our impervious limits, yes.
And based on getting approval by SwiftMud to
Yeah, that
concrete
as
as
well.
much of
Yes.
it. Any additional questions? This is a public hearing that has been open at its first and final reading. At this time, I would like the applicant to come forward. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Jamie Mayer with the law firm Hillward Henderson, representing the applicant, 600 Cleveland Street, Suite 800, and I have been sworn. Thank you, Mr. Reeves, for the excellent presentation. I don't really have too much more to add other than just a few points from the applicant's perspective and kind of the reason for doing what they're doing. As you've seen, this is a pretty underutilized site relative to other industrial sites that are actually within the city. It's, you know, kind of hanging out in county jurisdiction surrounded by the city of Pinellas Park, and it would be much better utilized upon annexation into the city. The code, as you've seen in the annexation ordinance and in the annexation agreement, the code requires that an equivalent zoning district from the city of Pinellas Park be applied that staff deems meets the kind of the parallel of what it is currently zoned in the county. Staff has identified in this case that's M1 zoning, and then of course the underlying IL future land use. So this is kind of what it would be if it were currently in the city are the districts that are being applied. M1 allows for a lot more of that outdoor storage usage, which is why the site currently looks different from a lot of its peers with a lot of unused open space, its peers within the city, which would be used and available for more outdoor storage if it were currently within the city. So they're very excited to annex into the city because it gives them a much greater opportunity to use this site and to operate it in more of a similar fashion to other industrial sites that have come into the city. And again, as Mr. Reeves explained, the annexation agreement is part of the process, which allows the site to kind of come in as is relative to what's going to stay. So the goal is not to change the structures and the layout, the parking, the ingress and egress, internal flow, and the landscaping, but to have the city code apply to future and new development, and then, of course, those waivers that reflect the existing conditions of the site are built into the annexation agreement as well as the preliminary site plan design, which is a control that the city has for industrial properties near residential properties. So as staff has shown in the staff report, and as Mr. Reeves explained it further in the presentation, this is they find it consistent with the comprehensive plan and the code. And we also have Mr. Sean Cashin from Gulf Coast Consulting here to answer any questions that you might have about the design specifically from an engineering perspective. And we respectfully request approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else on the applicant side that would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, I do have several people in the audience that would like to come up and speak. Connie Murray, or Maury.
I just have a few questions. So first of all,
Name and address for the record and whether you were sworn in or not.
I was sworn in, Connie Mowry, and I live at Springwood too. Sorry. First thing is the removal of trees. They didn't mention anything about them, that they were, I think the last meeting they said something that they were going to remove all the trees and then put up 4 trees. Is that still what they're planning on doing? The trees that are against Springwood too. There's like a whole line of trees.
So their landscape buffer would include 1 tree for every 30 linear feet of that property line.
So in other words, they're going to they're tearing out all those trees.
They could. I would not issued a permit for that yet.
Okay. So if they do, is an arborist needed for that? Because I know there are a lot of trees that need to have the arborists in to make sure that they're not.
For commercial or industrial development, as long as they comply with our landscape standards, internal trees may be removed.
Okay, because the trees really do buffer a lot more than an 8-foot wall will. So that was our main concern. Second is, so I was not at the last meeting, but I was at the first one. They talked about the Pinellas County Code Enforcement Officer went in and there were no violations. One of the zoning gentlemen said that he went through and saw several. They were going to get Pinellas Park's coding enforcement officer to come in. Did they do that? Because we took a ride through and it's a mess. I mean, the garbage things, the enclosures around the garbage was all over the place. The enclosures are like half up, half down. I don't understand how those would ever get passed as a code violation, not a code violation. So I guess my question is, one of the gentlemen did ask, and said Pinellas Park would come in. So I guess that's my question. Did Pinellas Park come in and do an assessment of if there were any code violations?
So all of our departments do an assessment of the property, including code enforcement. They did theirs. I'd have to look back. It was probably in November. This one's been going for quite a while. At that time, they expressed some concerns about the stormwater system, which was addressed by Gulf Coast Engineering.
How about
They didn't-
garbage?
They did not bring any concerns about their dumpster enclosures.
So it's okay to have dumpster enclosures that are falling down and overflow dumpsters?
That was not brought forward by our code enforcement.
That should be, though, I think. That is a code enforcement violation.
Yeah, if there are enclosures, they are required to be maintained.
Okay, because they are not. So, and I know they're buying them as is. Are they going to maintain them and fix what is not proper now, I guess? To me, I don't understand how that was not a code violation. So that was that. And then another one question is, so the road, which road were they planning on using as the primary road to get in and out of this? Would that be the service road of US 19, which is already ridiculous because of them shutting down Bryan Dairy? The traffic on that road is unbelievable now. So is that going to be more trucks that are going to be going in and out in that, or is they going to use the 102nd?
There are no proposed changes to their use of the site as far as vehicle access.
So they
have
are gonna
three
still-
accesses currently.
Okay, so they are still going to use US 19 frontage road as the main primary access to the building, or to the property?
They can use that and 102nd as well. They have rights to use all three.
Okay, because I know whenever they asked, there wasn't a very good, I mean, I thought the roads were pretty small, other than the frontage road. That was like the main entrance. And the other ones, a lot of times, are blocked off, I believe. So, I mean, that's just going to be a lot of traffic. That's going to be a lot of wear and tear on that road. And that road is an accident waiting to happen as it is.
I think what Derek was trying to say is those three roads already exist.
Right.
They're not planning on changing the use of any of those three roads.
Okay.
And the back side of the property is going to be basically for storage, where somebody will pull something in and store it there.
Correct.
So I would not foresee traffic going back and forth on a daily basis for something that's being stored there.
Okay. I mean, I understand that, but I guess my question is, are they going to use that main entrance solely, or are they going to be able to use you know what I mean? Because the other ones aren't as accessible as US 19.
Yeah, and we'll let the applicants, they always have the right to speak again after people have asked their questions, so they might be able to answer that for you. And if I would ask you just to kind of wrap it up, because each person gets 3 minutes.
And then the other thing is keeping the warehouse. Are they keeping that warehouse that's there now?
As far as we know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next one is Jackie Couch. Name and address for the record, and whether you were sworn in or not.
Hi there, my name is Jackie Couch. I live at 10473 Larchmont Place, and I was sworn in. I guess I haven't really been kind of in the loop on all these hearings. I received a little card in the mail, and all of a sudden, I was told there's an annexation agreement and a preliminary site plan. When I looked at, just kind of glanced through it, it looked like they're asking for waivers. They want to build plastic fences, not masonry. They're 8-foot tall plastic fences, blow down during storms. They're not really secure. What kind of impact is that going to have on the noise? I live right behind that property on the west side. An 8-foot fence, that's nice and all. They're parking 12 to 15-foot tall construction trailers back there currently. When I sit in my atrium, I look out, I see a construction trailer. So they're expanding the use of this property is taken away from my enjoyment, and it could reduce my property values. And I think I speak for the other 216 households in Springwood, too. I feel like this whole thing's been rushed. I would like to respectfully ask the council to postpone making a decision for 30 days, to give the residents more time to talk with city staff, to look at the plans and the proposals that the contractor's putting forward, and see if this actually is going to have a major impact on our enjoyment of our property. And the other thing I heard was we're going to waive their fees, impact fees of $5,000. Is the city that flush that we can just waive fees for a contractor that has enough money to buy this property and refix it? I don't know if that's, as a taxpayer, if I think that's a good decision. And I just would like more time to look at this before the city takes action. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next person is Jennifer Hawks.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Hanks. I live at 5370 Springwood Boulevard. And yes, I was sworn in. I'm the current president of Springwood Villas 2. I'm here representing 219 units that are really not happy about this. I personally live where they're already storing units. And I'm sorry, they're pulling things in and out at 4 in the morning. So it is a noise factor. A 8-foot fence is not going to change that at all. You hear the beep, beep, beep when they're putting their trucks in reverse and all of that. So I agree with Jackie. I think we need a little bit more time to try to get a handle on this from our part. I mean, we're a 55 and older community. We're here for retirement. We don't want to be hearing industry going in and out while we're trying to sit. When I sit in my backyard, that's what I see. Something else that I can't say definitely pertained to it, but when they cleared all the land behind me to put the stores that they have now, there's a lot of wildlife back there that now needed a place to go. Well, last year they took 18 rats out of our 5 villa units. More than likely, those rats were in the field living happy, and they got disturbed. That was a cost on us to get rid of that. There's a lot of other wildlife back there, and they did, and I don't know if it's the same people because I'm right there on Springwood, so right behind Springwood they have storage. They cut all the trees down that were up along the fence. So it used to be where some of it was blocked, and then all of a sudden one day I'm out there drinking coffee and they're just cutting every tree down that was right behind our wall. So I'm really not feeling good about this. I don't believe that. When we were here last week, they said that they were going to take down about 30 trees and they were marked, but they were leaving all the ones along the fence. Well, if you go back there, you can actually see orange ribbon around trees that are right up by the fence. So I kind of think we're being told the story. And again, like one of my other residents said, I would like to see if we can get an extension on this and get time to get some more facts and find out exactly what they're really going to be doing with the property. Thank you.
Thank you. P.B. Tremarco.
Hello.
No. Name and address for the record and whether you were sworn in or not.
P.B. Tremarco, and I haven't been sworn in.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
P.B. Tremarco, 10437 Larchmont Place, Pinellas, Florida, right behind the wall. I'm really upset about cutting down 35 and more mature trees because as far as I'm concerned, they absorb noise, they absorb dust, they absorb water from trees. And I'm just wondering, I think that they were planning to plant new trees, which will be, there's not enough time in my life or a lot of the retirees who live in our community to have the benefit of the newly planted trees. I don't know if they know that there would be additional traffic along the frontage road coming into our place. Right now, we take our lives in our hands trying to get into our place by the way the curb is situated, that people just come barreling down doing 40 and 50 miles an hour. So that's a scary thing. The pollution that goes along with it, the fumes of the additional traffic going in and out of this new complex, and the noise, and the trucks, and that's really all I have to say. I don't see any reason why they have to go all the way down, because an 8-foot fence is really not going to do us any good at all. It will not absorb the noise. It won't absorb the water from floods or trees. You know what I mean to say is rainfall. All the benefits of having trees in our backyard will be diminished if they plan to do it the way they're planning to do it. And I think that's really all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a Doreen Chapman.
Hi, my name is Doreen Chapman. I live at 10467 Larchmont Place, and I have been sworn in. I didn't get any notification, so I'm not sure. I missed all the meetings, but I've gotten plenty of documentation. I do recommend that we have some type of postponement so the rest of us that didn't get notified are educated on what's going on behind us. I, too, live on Larchmont, and I do not have trees behind my unit, and I sit out in my atrium, and I just retired recently, and I saw the trailers with plastic blowing that kept me awake for weeks. So that's a real big concern. There's also a motorbike that runs back there, and it's a small motorbike. You can hear that motorbike all the way to the other side of our property. So if you can hear a little motorbike, the beeping of the trucks, I heard guys talking out there on their radios while I'm sitting there. There's a lot that goes on back there with no trees. If you take all those trees down, it's going to be an issue. What's going to be done to preserve the peace, quiet, and enjoyment of all of our Springwood residents? We have 2 Springwood properties there, which house probably about 500 people. So we need time to prepare for this, and we want to know what's going to be done back there, not just a light construction. We need to know what's going to be done so we can prepare, because it is going to bring our property values down. And I just purchased there in the last few years, and many have. The other thing is, what's light industrial? What do you consider light industrial? We need a definition of that. What is that? And then flooding is our other issue. This is my second big year. There's a lot of flooding that goes on and a lot of high winds. That 8-foot fence is not going to stop it. So, like one of the other residents said, we need more buffers in order for you to put anything back there, whether it's trailers or buildings or what have you. We need more information. And I think that's it. So it'd be nice to get an extension if we could. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item that didn't fill out a card? Name and address for the record and whether you were sworn in or not.
Richard Scott Bennett, 10601 Ferndale Place. And yes, I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
These are my friends and my neighbors. They've worked hard all their lives to retire at this place. And attending the Planning and Zoning Board, I understand that this could have been a whole lot of other different things, like a strip mall, I believe a microbrewery. I don't see the lady here. Who's that? Anyway, it could have been a lot of different things.
She's over there.
Yeah, there she is. So, anyway, I don't think it's so much the structure that the problem. I think our concern is the environment and the ecosystem. If you take out all these trees, which they said that they're not going to, but if you go behind there, you see orange ribbons around all these established 80, 90, 100-year-old oak trees that are providing natural shade, natural cooling to the earth. If you've ever been outside and gone and stand next to an oak tree, it's 15 or 20 degrees cooler. So if they remove 30 of them, that's just going to raise the temperature of the earth around there. And then the storm swale that everybody's referring to is the ditch. The storm swale, which leads down into the overflow pond, I guess north of it, up there at the top. Another
no,
concern.
Their swale leads to the south.
Or the south, yeah, I'm sorry. So, here.
No. No.
The pond.
The pond is to the south. It's in this yellow striped area.
Wait a minute, I'm turned around then.
Right there where that is.
Yeah, right here. Oh,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I'm turned around. So here, this is the pond. This stormwater comes down into the pond here. Starts here. Anyway, what's going to be, Stuart, is it going to be monitored, policed? I know it's against a lot of ordinances to have gasoline or whatever, but if gasoline or some kind of oil or petroleum products gets in that storm swale, you know, it's a natural habitat to a lot of God's creatures. Turtles, fish, ducks, there's otters. People fish there, you know, but anyway. If you're taking out all these trees, we're concerned that it's going to create a lot of flooding because the trees that are established, the oak trees, 190, 80, 900-year-olds, however old they are, they don't have baby roots. They have big, strong, solid roots. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I just want to say thank you all, Mayor Bradbury, City Council. I have to say that this, you guys, your leadership rocks. That's all I can say. Both thumbs way, way up. All right?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ann Flanagan, and I live at 10425 Larchmont Place. I have not been sworn in.
Please raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm on that row off Larchmont, where my back is I see all the trees. One thing with our units is we have an atrium. We all have the villas that are on the back side. We have an atrium, so it's my neighbor's wall. I have sliding glass doors. I have a sliding glass door, and then there's a back wall, and I'm screened up top. Well, noise carries, and I can hear a lady's little dog down the street, just like many blocks down when it's barking, reverbing through my atrium porch. And so this is back behind there, and like one of the other ladies said, you hear the beeping, the beep, 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 beep. You hear different things. I go out there in the morning. I've got my cats on the porch. They look up. There's all these birds on the wire, and they're coming from all those trees. And I see hundreds and hundreds of birds coming out of those trees. And that just, I know it's going to cause an issue environmentally with moving those trees. I mean, our little area, like we do, there's an otter, there's rabbits, there's all sorts of stuff, and they're going to lose their home with these people taking down all these mature trees. And I really am afraid of the property values going down. I'm personally possibly looking to sell here soon. that's going to be a hard thing to do with all this talk about this going down. You know, a prospective person may not want to come in not knowing the future of what's going to be going on there. So I have grave concerns about the trees and losing the wildlife environment that's back there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, would the applicant like to come up and discuss any of the items that were mentioned?
Again, Jamie Mayer for the record. One thing I think is a very good point that is raised is code enforcement to directly address the dumpsters. Sean was on the site today. We did speak to somebody on the property this morning as well. The dumpsters have been fixed. They're not open, and there's not trash strewn all over the property. And code enforcement definitely will, the city's code enforcement, the city's code with respect to property upkeep will apply going forward if this property is annexed in. And that also includes hours of operation need to meet the code. And I believe the code's hours of operation are probably not allowing 4 a.m. Beeping. So I think that's a very good point. And I think that those controls are in the code and they can be enforced. If the city has this property, within its jurisdiction. The 8-foot fence, whether it's masonry or PVC, that is the height that is required for the type D buffer. And the extra couple of feet, I think it's 8 feet for type D, but 10 for adjacent to the residential uses is being provided, plus that additional 22 feet or so of the canal. So there is additional buffering, and all the landscaping and tree planting requirements, the continuous hedge and the planted trees will be met. And staff has found it consistent with these requirements for industrial uses that are adjacent or functionally adjacent to residential uses. And it's already an industrial site. Yes, the goal is to utilize it more so. There is open storage, adjacent to this site along 102nd, and this is consistent with that. And again, the landscaping and the wall and the additional square foot or the additional feet of the buffer are there, or will be there. The trees are allowed to be removed. There is a proposed area of open space on the site plan, so there's a control. That's an area on the southwest that's not proposed for open storage. To the extent that those trees can be kept there, they will be, unless they have to be used for stormwater. But that stormwater pond will also stay there. So yes, the trees unfortunately do have to be removed in the area that there will be open storage. They can be, but new trees will be planted, and staff in their professional opinion has found this consistent. I think Sean can speak to traffic if are there any comments about that.
Good evening, Sean Cashin, 13825 ICOP Boulevard, Clearwater, Florida. I have been sworn. I do appreciate all the public's concerns, and Jamie has addressed most of them. As far as the access, the main access is going to be off of US 19. That's the path of least resistance. That's the most direct, convenient way to ingress and egress the property. So I don't see that changing with some of the changing uses on the site. As far as the dumpsters, as Jamie said, they've all been fixed. I didn't count them all, but there's probably about between 8 and 10 dumpsters, and there's brand new wood fencing around each dumpster. The garbage has been cleaned up. As Mr. Reeves alluded to, there were some minor maintenance issues with the on-site as well as the stormwater, and those issues have been remediated and taken care of. There have been some questions or concerns about the flooding or stormwater. We are proposing a gravel surface along the west and the north. It'll be an improvement over what's along the north right now, which, as Mr. Reeves said, is a mixture of grass and asphalt millings and rock and what have you. The gravel surface is a permeable, semi-permeable type surface. Water can, just like with, little aggregate rocks, water can permeate through the rock to the soil below. The curve number, which is a reflection of the runoff, is going to be very similar to the ground or the soil that is there now. And we are going to have to permit that surface, the improvement, if you will, on the property through SwiftMud as well. And SwiftMud does have a program by which that you have to inspect the site every 18 months and send in an inspection report. So as far as conformance to the permit modification and the improvements on the site, that is something that SwiftMud will require an inspection every 18 months. And if there are any other questions, I'm here to answer them.
I have one.
Yes.
She said some of the trees are going to be staying. Which area is that? Is that down towards the pond?
It's the southwest corner, which is directly left on this photograph of the pond.
Bottom left, yeah.
It's roughly the southwest 150 feet, and so those trees there.
Those trees will stay the same?
That's an open area.
That's going to stay the same as it is now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, because I don't want to make any confusion, to the extent that they can, unless there's a stormwater pond required there. I think that's what we discussed.
Yes, there may be a need to expand the stormwater pond, which is along the south side. And if we do that, we're going to try to steer clear as many of those trees as possible. So there is a chance that we are going to have to encroach within part of that southwest area for a pond. So,
To make a second pond, is not to take out the road.
I'm sorry?
To make a second pond, not to take out the road that's already there?
It'll be a pond that would be interconnected to the existing pond that's already there at the southeast corner of the south. So we haven't gone through all the calculations, but we're hopeful that we will not have to do that.
So, question. On the, so all, and I'm looking at the pictures that were provided in the packet. So all the dumpsters that are there that have all the fences, those have been repaired?
Yes.
And they're all cleaned up. And then I see in these pictures where, and I see where they're saying as far as violations, code violations, so they will have to, like I see large semis being worked on, I see semi-trailers, I see vehicles with no tags on them. So all that'll have to be cleaned up, or we're saying it's okay for them to have it like that, as is?
So the pictures on the site are for the physical improvements, not the use of the property.
So you guys are gonna clean all of that up, so there won't be, I'm just asking because like I said, I see, when they're talking about, I see what they're saying as far as violations. When you look at the
Kinda
pictures,
messy.
yeah, I'm just kinda, I'm going by the pictures of seeing the stuff, so they'll be able to bring it up to where there's not those violations out there and clean it up, and then the semis and so forth. Because if they're parking semis back and forth in there and it's backed up to their residential, and people are coming to get them, like say they're staying here, you're gonna hear that beep beep, or the engine's running and so forth.
Well, to the extent that, and I can't speak to the actual use of an industrial site myself. I don't exactly know what quite goes into it. But to the extent that the uses are permitted under the zoning, those would continue. But as Mr. Reeves said, the code, the maintenance of the property and uses that are not permitted, no, they will be maintained the way the city requires them to be maintained, and the as-is portion are the structures, the way the parking's laid out, things that might not have been laid out the way they would have been under city code. They were laid out the way they were under county code. I think the oldest building is from 1965. So yes, okay. It's what is being as is the layout, the access, the structures. But again, I mean, the actual maintenance, upkeep of the property and anything that is not allowed, the code fully applies in that respect.
Very good, thank you.
Or it will, upon annexation if you so approve.
Councilmember Butler.
Have you ever met with the residents over there?
So I personally have not been at the prior hearings. My colleague Katie Cole has been at the prior hearings. and they have spoken to a number of residents at each of the hearings. I'm not certain that all of the same people are there. I understand that some of these residents have not been at prior hearings, but there have been conversations with the residents previously at the hearings. That is the extent of my knowledge.
Okay.
You can't, because the rules are, they speak, you speak, they get to speak, and then we're done. So.
Sounds like a great place.
And this is, keep in mind, we're going to be voting on item P1, which is the annexation agreement. We're not voting on 2, 3, or 4 yet. We're just going to be voting on the annexation agreement.
Why is that?
I will make a little bit of a statement and question of Derek, just to clarify. If we don't annex it, they can still go to the county, get the exact same stuff done with the county that they're asking to do here. And they're asking to annex, which means in the future we'll have control over the code violations and things of that nature for the future, which the county really doesn't do a lot of code violation checkups on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak to the county's code enforcement.
I will.
They
But,
would be
I mean,
subject
they
to the
could
county's permitting requirements.
Right.
Presumably, they could expand their outdoor storage, and they would, if annexed, be subject to the city regulations.
Right. So, and that property was developed in the county. The site plan was given to the county. The county's the one that let them put the trees all in one spot instead of sporadically throughout the, I'm assuming. Would that be the case? Because they're all kind of clumped together instead of a normal business has them throughout their site.
I'm not sure that development history that far back.
They were discussing the building being there since around the 60s. Do we know how? I know that some of those buildings have been around for a long time. So.
I think they've been built in phases, but yeah. The last one was one of them early 2000s, the last edition.
And it's been industrial as long back as the city knows?
Yeah.
For that. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Sabel?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I got to add on to Rick's comment. I wish that the owner and his designees would have gone out there and met with the residents that they back up against, the ones that are going to be directly affected by them. Did I hear you say in yours when you were up possibly a 10-foot fence? No?
What I had mentioned was it's a 10-foot buffer that's required, which is 2 feet more than the standard industrial type D buffer.
Okay.
But
You think the owner would be willing to go with a bigger fence, taller fence?
Fence or buffer?
Fence.
Fence.
A 10-foot tall fence?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they make them.
I'm kidding.
There's one on
Possibly.
60th Street.
Or,
You have to stand over there. It's not that we can't hear you, but we have to make sure that the mics hear you.
all right. One thing, and I do understand the concern for, from the people that live along, the western boundary. I mean, there's a 6-foot-high fence on the east side of that canal, and they're looking at a lot of mature trees there. So I would like to offer something, because I think buffers against different types of properties is important. So I think the 8-foot-high fence is adequate, but we are proposing trees every 30 feet. And I think it's about 900 feet, so you're looking at 30 trees. So for those trees, I would offer to make those trees of substance, if you will, 10-foot-high and 3-inch caliper trees. So you're looking at, not twigs, but you're looking at fairly mature, well-developed trees And that will enhance the buffer along the west. And you're hearing all the concerns for the folks that live along the west. I think that would be a step in the right direction. So I would offer that, the 10-foot high, 3-inch caliper trees for additional buffer.
Yeah, I just think that we're at a point where we probably need to table this and let the folks get together. And I think they make some good cookies out there, so you guys might want to get together, have some cookies and some coffee, and talk about that situation a little bit more, because I think there's a lot of people out here that's going to be a lot.
I do understand the sentiment very much, and I understand the other concerns that the folks have for noise, and there were some flooding concerns as well. As far as the noise, there are operating hours that need to be adhered to, and whatever they are, we're going to adhere to them, and those need to be strictly enforced, and we're all on board with that. There's a noise ordinance as well, and again, we don't want these people inconvenienced or hearing noise all hours of the day or anything like that. Our clients want to be good neighbors. So, and I understand the concerns. So we're here, we want to adhere to the code, the operating hours, the noise ordinance. We're willing to add some additional buffers. I understand the trees. If we just put trees, they're going to be like little twigs, they're not even going to see them. We're going to have a 10-foot tree that's going to be 4 feet or 2 feet higher than the 8-foot fence, and those things are going to be growing a lot faster. They will turn into trees a lot quicker than the smaller trees that are required by the code. So again, I trying to address all the concerns now as best as possible, but we want to be good neighbors. We want to adhere to the code, the noise ordinance, and provide a suitable buffer for these folks to the west.
Sometimes 2 weeks, extending it out is a good move for people to get together and chat about it.
To your point, Councilman, one suggestion, if we postpone the preliminary site plan portion, because again, as the mayor said, there's four different applications to be voted on, and except for the preliminary site plan, it's, a zoning category, a future land use category, and the annexation. If more time could be devoted to discussing maybe the details of some of the aspects of the site design.
Yeah, I could live with that. Just the annexation. I don't have a problem with that. It's just,
And I have a question.
If I may on that, Council, so your annexation agreement that is before you tonight, though, contains several special provisions and waivers that talk about the 8-foot fence and certain waivers and grandfathering legal uses that are already on the property. So, and I understand the request to table the site plan. However, some of those waivers and requirements that would be in the site plan are also contained in your annexation agreement. So those should, just so that you're aware.
Probably be better just to
One through 4 is
table.
all tied together.
Especially one of these.
So,
Vice Mayor Reed.
I have a question. So in the $5,000 waiver, what about doing a 10-foot fence, since we're playing with this, not $5,000?
I can't say that I'm authorized to speak on behalf of the people who will be, paying the cost. I think the waiver for the
Impact fees.
right. I think that, the site's already been developed. Impact fees have been paid to the county. Permitting fees have been paid to the county over many years, and up to $5,000 is, I would guess, probably a little chip in what would end up being paid. I think a 10-foot. I could see a 10-foot fence being acceptable. I think. Do you know what the general cost of something? The difference in cost is that?
I should know that, but I don't. But
maybe.
I think that would be acceptable.
Yeah.
So
If that would be helpful, and if it's not, then.
well, I tell you where I'm at. I'm not going to vote for it if it doesn't get extended for 2 weeks. I just want to let you know.
Does that work with notice?
I I think that the clerks are probably gonna say we need more than 2 weeks because with the new case law for the town of Jupiter, we're gonna have to re-advertise everything. And I don't believe we can get it re-advertised
Can we do
for.
it in a month? Month is good. I know it's a pain in the butt. I hate to see it drag on for another
You can't make a
month.
motion yet because I have not closed the public hearing.
I'm
You
just
can make
discussing.
suggestions.
Yeah. So, but I think that this is probably the best way because what you see here is a small amount of the people that actually live out there. And I think once the rest of the tribe finds out what's going on, we're going to have a lot of folks that are going to be very disappointed.
Mr. Reeves, I apologize for not knowing this. What was the notice radius and what were the means of notice provided?
For these case, it'd be for the LUPA and the preliminary site plan would have been 300 feet. Because of Springwood's condo layout, I believe and clerk's office may be able to help me confirm this. I think we were pushing 300 properties noticed.
So probably everybody we could see on that map received notice. Most of them.
Yeah, most of what's on that map, not all of it.
So, I mean, I think notice was provided.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, we have notice. Notice is a great thing, don't get me wrong, but there's something about people meeting together over cocktails or cookies, I don't know, whatever the hell they are. But once they sit at the table, they kind of talk about certain things. That always comes back in a very positive attitude.
Okay.
And I know it's, and I hate to be paying your legal fees, but I know it's going to cost somebody a little bit more money, but the reality is it's going to be a lot better at the end of the day.
They have a nice clubhouse over there, maybe y'all could get together over there.
Very nice. Heated pool too, so I mean, bring your bathing suit, So it's not bad,
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Maybe not the heated pool, but
Yeah.
a pause.
Great, thank you.
A nice little neighborhood meeting.
Cookies.
Any additional questions before I close the public hearing? Alrighty, I am closing the public hearing and entertaining a motion.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I don't know if I'm going to say it right, I'll probably need some legal help on this, but I'd like to go ahead and table P1 until we could get the proper notification back out to the residents and the community and the people involved in this section of property could get together and just come together and have a meeting on what they'd like to see done out there.
However you want to say it.
Motion to table is adequate. We'll have to
Motion to
re-advertise.
table.
So,
Now, do we have to do each one?
yes, we'll have to read P2,
We'll have
3,
to
and
open
4.
them, read them, and then do the same thing.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to table P1.
Do I have a second?
Second.
May 11th.
To the May 11th meeting.
Concur.
Concurred. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Almost.
Bring a site plan so that they can see it. Moving on to item P2, ordinance number 4188.
Ordinance number 4188, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, annexing into the city a certain parcel of land generally located at 10288 US Highway 19 North, together with the adjacent right-of-way of US Highway 19 North, and that portion of 102nd Avenue North, and legally described and depicted in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and made a part hereof, providing for amendment of the legal description of the corporate boundaries of the city, providing for the assignment of city zoning classification, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances conflicting herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P2, ordinance number 4188, public hearing, second and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Derek.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to enter my previous presentation into the record for item P2.
Thank you. Do we need to go through the whole thing since we're tabling, possibly?
No, we can just have a motion to table.
Okay.
Public hearing's been open, it can be tabled.
Does the applicants need me to, no, okay. I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Vice Mayor Reed.
I make a motion that we table P2. May, what's saying 11th and 13th, what day is it?
May 11th?
May 11th.
Till May 11th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to item P3, ordinance number 4189.
Item P3 is ordinance number 4189, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official land use plan map by providing the land use designation of Industrial Limited, IL, for certain lands generally located at 10288 US Highway 19 North, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for appeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P3, ordinance number 4189, public hearing, second and final reading. I am opening the public hearing, turning it over to Derek.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'd like to enter my presentation from item P1 into the record for item P3.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to? No. Don't see anybody else raising their hands. I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion. Councilmember Butler?
I make a motion, we table this item until May 11th.
Second the motion.
Motion's been made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to item P4.
Item P4 is consideration of a request for a preliminary site plan approval for outdoor storage on a previously developed property in the light industrial M1 zoning district with waivers pursuant to the annexation agreement associated with AX 2023-00001.
Thank you. Item P4 is public hearing, first and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Mr. Derek.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'd like to enter a presentation from item P1 into the record for item P4.
Thank you. Nope. No other discussions?
The applicants indicated they have nothing to add.
Yes. I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion. Councilmember Butler?
I make a motion, we table to May 11th.
Second the motion.
Motion's been made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. One of you said that you were the president, so if you would please get, nope, she's got a card. Thank you. Moving on to item.
Is staff going to be available to work with them at that meeting too, if that's possible?
That would probably be a good idea.
Thank you. Bring me some cookies.
One thing about it, if you get annexed into Pinellas Park, our guys will be on it over there a lot better than the county will.
Derek, don't forget my cookies. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to item P5, resolution number 23-07.
Resolution number 23-07, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, approving the 2023-2027 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Consolidated Plan, authorizing staff to submit the report to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P5, resolution number 23-07, public hearing, first and final reading, and I'm turning it over to Tammy Hillier.
Thank you, Mayor.
My name is Tammy Hillier. I am the Community Services Manager for the City of Pinellas Park. Resolution 23-07 is seeking approval by City Council for staff to submit the 2023 through 2027 consolidated plan. That's a 5-year plan. For the Community Development Block Grant Program. The Community Development Block Grant is a federal program administered by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development to assist in funding housing and local community development programs that assist low and moderate income populations living in Pinellas Park. The priority needs over the next 5 years that are being addressed by the city are to expand and improve public infrastructure, improve access to public facilities, provide supportive services for special needs populations, provide vital services for low moderate income households, assistance for the homeless population, provide first-time homebuyers assistance, and provide assistance for affordable housing options. This slide shows that city staff have met all of HUD's requirements for public hearings, public meetings, and public notices. The geographic priorities over the next 5 years include the Harmony Heights Safety and Mobility Project. This project does utilize funding from 4 previous years, CDBG funding that have not yet been expended. Will go into this project, including the 2022 years, all in Phase 1. Action Plan 1 out of the new consolidated plan will be utilized in the amount of $319,289 for Harmony Heights second phase. The 78th Avenue North project will be coming up in years 2 through 5 of this new consolidated plan. The years this new plan will be in effect include October 1, 2023 through September 30th, 2027, and the 2023 allocation is $399,111. HUD allows a 20% cap for administrative fees. And that's my presentation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I just asked Bart, because I know we held off on doing that Harmony Heights, so now since we have the other funding, we can start working on it.
That's correct, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody that has any questions of Tammy on City Council? Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions of Tammy? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Close the public
Oh,
hearing.
yes.
A motion.
I would like to close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Councilmember Mullins.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to adopt resolution number 23-07, public hearing, first and final reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to item P6, ordinance number 4190.
Ordinance number 4190, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, pertaining to permitted and conditional uses in the Town Center TC zoning district, amending Chapter 18 Land Development Code by amending Table 18-1522.3, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for the inclusion of such amended ordinance in the code of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Ordinance number 4190, item P6. First public hearing, first reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Megan.
Good evening. My name is Megan Montesino, Development Review Manager for the city. I will be presenting case number LDC-1123-00001. The request is to amend Table 18-1522.3 of the city's Land Development Code to add dwellings, single-family detached, as a permitted use within the town center TC zoning district. Just a summary, in 2010, ordinance number 3748 established section 18-1522.3 of the city's code and omitted the use of dwelling single-family detached, even though it states in section 18-1522.4G that the minimum livable area, floor area for a single-family detached dwelling unit is 1,000 square feet. Per code, areas of the city for which TZ zoning is appropriate are designated on the land use map as CRD. The land use designation of CRD allows for residential and is considered a primary use. Staff recommends approval of case number LDC-1123-00001. And P&Z Commission also recommended approval on March 2nd for this case as well. I am here if you have any questions.
Thank you. City Council have any questions of Megan? Seeing none. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on this item? Seeing none. Close the public hearing and entertain a motion. Vice Mayor Reed.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 4190, first public hearing and first reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to item P7, resolution number 2306.
Resolution number 23-06, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, vacating an approximately 8-foot wide by 321-foot long utility easement within 11090 60th Street North and 11100 60th Street North in Section 17, Township 30 South, Range 16 East, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P7, resolution number 23-06, public hearing, first and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Megan.
Good evening again. My name is Megan Montesino, Development Review Manager for the city. I'll be presenting case number VAC-0822-00005. The request is to vacate an 8-foot wide by 320-foot long, 21-foot long utility easement within the properties located at 11100 60th Street and 11090 60th Street. Shown here in yellow within the site is the approximate location of the easement to be vacated. Again, located at 11100 and 11090 60th Street North. The land use is residential low, RL. The zoning is single-family residential, R3. And it is not in a flood zone. It's in flood zone X, which is low risk. Shown here is just the sketch and legal description of the 8-foot wide easement. Just a summary, the easement was recorded in 2009 as a permanent utility easement per book 16711 and page 1021. It was deeded to the city, and it's not used by the city or any utility providers, and it's also located within a city drainage easement, so vacating this would eliminate any conflict of easements in the future. Findings, the request meets vacation of easement requirements per the Land Development Code, and the request is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of case number VAC-0822-00005. And staff is here if you have any questions.
Thank you. I have a question. We're calling it a utility easement, but it looks like it would have been a road if it had the capabilities of going all the way through at one point in time?
So not the utility, so there's an existing drainage easement that's in that area too.
Okay.
Um,
So we're just getting rid of the utility?
We're just getting rid of that,
easement. Okay.
yeah, that utility easement part.
All right. They have the other part marked on there, but it doesn't say what it is. So. Okay, thank you. Any questions of Megan? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this item, either for or against, or questions? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Councilmember Seville.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to adopt resolution number 23-06, public hearing, first and final reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. All those in favor? Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to section 4, consent agenda items.
Item C1 is resolution number 23-08, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, adopting a city clerk for the City of Pinellas County, Florida, establishing annual compensation for the city clerk, providing that the city clerk shall be subject to employment policies established by City Council from time to time, providing that the city clerk shall serve at the pleasure of City Council, providing that this resolution shall not constitute an employment contract, providing for an effective date. I'm sorry, item number C2.
She read all the other ones.
Is authorization for the City of Pinellas Park to accept a utility easement from Draw Real Estate LLC at 3560 126th Avenue North. Item number C3 is ordinance number 4191, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, adopting a master plan and supporting documentation for an industrial plan unit development, IPUD, overlay with underlying light industrial M1 zoning on 3.77 acres of land, generally located on parcel number 18-30-16-69-768-300-4003, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date. Item number C4 is to approve authorization for the mayor to sign a 5-year contract with Ferris Pools, Inc. for maintenance and repair of Skyview Pool Complex with an estimated annual budget of $15,000. Item number C5 is to approve the reappointment of Tim Cadell to serve as a regular member of the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee with a term to expire April 2025. Item number C6 is to approve the reappointment of John Ferris to serve as a regular member of the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee with a term to expire April 2025. Item number C7 is ordinance number 4192, an ordinance of the City of Pinellas Park amending sections 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 of ordinance number 4169, an appropriation and tax levy ordinance of the City of Pinellas Park, providing for repeal of all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. Item number C8 is to approve authorization to award bid 23/003 for the former Classical Christian School demolition to JVS Contracting, Inc. in an amount of $94,400. Item number C9 is to approve authorization to make the first and final payment for emergency repairs at 70th Avenue and 37th Street North to Roland, Inc. in the amount of $69,037.20. Item number C10 is authorization for the mayor to sign a joint project agreement with Pinellas County for the design and construction of a bypass force main from 84th Avenue North to South Cross Bayou for water reclamation facility. And now,
Just one point of clarification on item C8, the contract is in the amount of $99,400.
I'm sorry. And that's the end of the consent agenda finally.
Thank you. And that's what we had our light on for? Yes, thank you. Vice Mayor Reed.
Thank you. Mayor Bradbury, regarding the consent agenda, I would like to make a motion to pass, approve, or adopt whichever action is appropriate, items C1 through C10, inclusive with items C3 and C7 being first reading prior to public hearing, and item C1 being first and final reading. The next public hearing will be held in council chambers on Thursday, April 27th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
Second the motion.
Motion has been made and second. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on items C1 through C10? Seeing none? All those in favor? Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to Section 5, regular agenda, item R1, ordinance number 4193. And it is quasi-judicial. There is no public hearing on it this evening, and I have filled out the proper paperwork and will not be voting on it.
Because you are employed by Northside Engineering.
That is correct.
Contract.
One of my coworkers is sitting out there and will be.
All right.
So.
Item R1 is ordinance number 4193, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map by providing for a change in the zoning district for a certain parcel of land generally located at parcel number parcel number 17-30-16-69750-100-3102, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, changing the zoning district from rural residential RR to single-family residential R3, and adopting a master plan and supporting documentation for a residential planned unit development, RPUD, overlay with underlying single-family residential R3 zoning for a 5-lot single-family subdivision, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item R1, ordinance number 4193. And I don't know if
There's no public hearing, so it's just a entertained motion.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
What are we doing?
R1. Councilmember Mullins.
Oh, let's see. Just so,
And this is first reading prior to public hearing.
right, see, without a public hearing, I'll pass it through until we can get to the public hearing so we hear both sides. So my action will be to pass ordinance number 4193 till first reading,
Prior to public hearing.
prior to public hearing.
Second.
Motion has been made in second.
Think about
Any
that.
discussion on that? Oh, okay. Any discussion by city council? Yeah, and I can open it up to the public. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 3-1.
With me abstaining.
With Councilman Sabille voting no and Mayor Bradbury abstaining.
Thank you. And the public hearing for this will be on April 27th?
No,
No.
Do we have a confirmation? I know that this item will be returning to Planning and Zoning Board for a hearing, and then
Depending on our advertising requirements, whether it will be the first meeting in May or the second.
Okay.
the notice and advertising will be done for the new public hearing date.
Thank you.
The sign on the property says April 27th.
That will be updated.
Because this should have been on the consent agenda as first reading prior to public hearing, which would mean that it would come back on the 27th, but
That's what I was
it
asking.
had to be pulled.
An explanation to everyone that's here why we're not voting on it.
Alrighty. There are no other regular agenda items, so we're going on to section 6, which is comments by city council. Councilmember Smith,
Thank you, Mayor.
5 years.
Yes, thank you very much. That was a shock, people. Shouldn't do that to people.
Fast or that we did it?
That you did it.
It's been quick.
That's good. Thank you very much.
All righty. Vice Mayor Reed,
I have nothing tonight.
nothing.
No, thank you though.
Councilmember Butler.
Carol, I got you some new earrings here. So. They give me a 25-year thing, 25 years of service. So, thank you for everybody for putting up with me for 25 years.
You know,
That's
we'd
all
put
I
up
got.
with you for several more if you wanted.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Time to let it go.
Mr. Jerry.
It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve for 15 years. One of the joys of my life.
Ms. Lana. I know we got stuff going on in the community.
We do. We have a lot of stuff going on, so thank you, Mayor and City Council. Obviously, we have a more extensive list of all of our activities on the calendar on our website, pinellas-park.com. But just in the next couple weeks, we have, coming up April 15th, we have Heartbreaker. It is a tribute to Heart and Led Zeppelin at the Performing Arts Center. And there's a few tickets left, so if anyone's interested, please get your tickets for that show. Then Sunday, April 16th, we have our Pinellas Park Civic Orchestra performing for free. It's a free concert at the Performing Arts Center. And that show starts at 7:30 p.m. Then, of course, what everybody looks forward to is the Sacred Heart Spring Festival that runs April 19th through the 23rd. Is Ray doing mullet?
Nope.
No mullet. But there's a great carnival and lots of food options there, just not Ray's mullet. Then we have the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life is at England Brothers Park, and that's on April 22nd. So you can find out, obviously, more information on all these events on our website. We have a Fourth Saturday Block Party on April 22nd in the Pinellas Arts Village. And then our Pinellas Park Kiwanis Club, they start their water safety intro to swimming at Skyview Pool beginning on April 22nd. So you can register and do a skills assessment on that day. And then it's 4 weekends into May where they teach kids to swim for free. And that is all I have.
Moving down? No? Okay, well, we're going to stop right at Miss LaSharon. Tuesday night, just 2 days ago, was her birthday, and I understand anniversary as well. So we want to wish you a belated, wonderful and anniversary. Happy birthday. So.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Oh, wait, we gotta sing for her.
No. We do, but with the brand new mics, it's not a good thing. If it was the old mics, we'd sing to you.
These was recorded.
Chiefs? No? When is the torch run?
It is next Wednesday, the 19th. Our run portion will start at 12:15 sharp from Philippe Park to Richard O. Jacobson High School. It's just about 4 miles long.
Thank you. All righty. And,
Carrie might want to come say something
yeah.
about his granddaughter.
Oh.
You want to make her say something?
While Gary is coming up, just want to give a big shout out to the fire department again. Local 2193 for a $14,000 chili blaze and $17,000 country in the park. It's all going to nonprofits in our community. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Gary Migdal. 2 meetings ago, Bart brought up my granddaughters with the honor guard at Northside Christian. And they weren't here the last meeting because they were in Daytona for the competition. The varsity team came in second place out of the whole state of Florida. The junior varsity cadets, thank you, which my granddaughter is part of the junior varsity cadets. Come on up here. No, come on. You have to come up and show them your medal. Her group also came in second out of the whole state of Florida. The amazing thing is the state of Florida does not recognize ties. The difference in scores between the first place and second place was 0.09. Wow. So they came that close to becoming first in the whole state, but they came in second out of the whole state of Florida. So she brought her. It's the only time she's ever been shy. So she brought her medal and she won.
Oh. You can go show yourself. I don't know you.
It's for the championship of the whole state of Florida. So it's the FCC. So yeah. So she came in second. So, even though the school is not in the city, but they represented Pinellas Park because a couple of girls are in Pinellas Park also. But just wanted to let everybody know that she. I mean, that close, and so. She also got the certificate for the most improved dancer out of the whole group.
All right. You love him so much.
You're gonna have a rough night, Gary.
Might not come no more meetings with you. That is great. That is great.
Chief Hayworth?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything for the good of the order tonight?
No, ma'am.
No?
We're good, thank you.
All righty. Well, with that, once again, to all of our wonderful volunteers that were here, our fire department, police department, the explorers, fire department explorers for all of the wonderful things that they do in our community, showing you what's wonderful about the young adults that are in our community and what they're doing that's right. We need to hear more about those people. And congratulations. We want to say that everybody has a blessed couple of weeks until we see you again. The meeting is adjourned.